Shane Burney here with my latest episode, broadcasting live from fabulous Las Vegas. And this is about TPS, transactions per second. That's the speed of a blockchain. And some people think it's super important, and other, mostly fans of blockchains that don't have that impressive TPS, they think TPS is not that important. And I will dive into all the details in this video, so please watch it to the end. And remember to give me that like. It is really important. I appreciate it. And let's dive right into it. TPS, transactions per second, is basically the speed of a blockchain. And then, is it all that important? Of course, as always in life, the answer is it depends, right? What do we want to use the blockchain for? If it's a special purpose blockchain, just for one use case, you use it inside a company to whatever, inside UPS to, put your supply chain on the blockchain, it is perfectly fine. You know how many TPS you need. And if the blockchain does that, that's fine. You don't need the highest TPS in the industry if you have a special use case. But on the other hand, if you have a public blockchain, and the purpose of the public blockchain is kind of like general computing, or in our case, Xandium's blockchain, general computing with general data storage to build general apps like Web3, any app, right? You need the highest TPS possible. And why is that? The transactions per second on the blockchain are lower than we have from centralized apps, right? If we just have one server, centralized controlled servers, everyone can trust every server in the Google network or in the Amazon network because they control each and every server, right? So there you can have faster TPS, you can have faster throughput because, you control everything. In a blockchain, everyone can get their validator out there. Some can be slow, some can be fast, and honestly, some can be operated by bad actors, right? And it happens all the time. And in the blockchain, we need to take measures to, make sure these attacks don't drag down the blockchain and all these type of things. So it's usually slower on the blockchain because we have thousands of validators. We want that decentralization and decentralized control and censorship resistance and all these things. That's why we put apps on the blockchain. If we didn't want that, and in some cases we don't need it and we don't want it, then just go with regular Web 2 apps. But in case we want to, practice decentralization, decentralized control and everything, we need to put it on the blockchain. And if we build a general purpose blockchain, just as we do with Xandium, link in the description, xandium.com, or, Ethereum does, or Avalanche does, or, Loopring does, and all the others out there, right? Polygon, you name it. They all do general purpose public blockchain. And I feel in a general purpose public blockchain, we need speed. Why is that? Because if it's a general purpose public blockchain, it'll only succeed and it'll only give its full value if it's going to be mass adopted, right? If we have those billion users or more using it like each and every day, then the native currency of that chain will be used for payments because everyone already has it, right? And we saw that with the internet. It became useful when everyone was using it, right? Or back in the day with Microsoft Windows, it became, and Office for that matter, it became useful when everyone had it, right? So that's why it's important to have a high transactions per second. I personally am a big fan of Solana's, as you know, as you've watched my videos in the past. Solana has one of the highest TPS in the industry, and they are ever increasing it with their new validator software, FireDancer, that they are working on or is being worked on. It's not Solana Labs that's working on that. It's a different company. But they're building that new validator. It can go up to 1 million transactions per second, right? And think about it, how many payment transactions are happening in the world each and every second. It's a lot, right? We need a fast blockchain. And what happens if the blockchain doesn't scale and doesn't have a high TPS? We see this with Ethereum. Ethereum still enjoys its first mover advantage. So many people are still on Ethereum. So many people don't think about what to use. Oh, I just go with the market leader, Ethereum, and that's fine. And there's a lot of positive things to say about Ethereum, and it was the innovator, and it was a huge, huge innovation back in the day, and I'm super proud of the team and Vitalik and everyone who came out with it. But we see now, it doesn't really scale, so transaction fees are high, which means certain applications are just not possible. It is slow, you have high confirmation times and all these type of things, high finalization times. So Ethereum, as it is right now, I doubt it can ever be mass adopted. They might be working on it, and there are a lot of L2s on top of Ethereum. But, as I would say it, L2s are a pain in the ass because they are silos, right? And then you have so many silos there, and you can't really interact on it. And think about, you use it for DeFi. You want to have something like global price discovery. You want to know how much is this asset right now in the world on any of the exchanges and stuff. And if you do that with L2s, you'd have to query all the other L2s and stuff like that. So for DeFi, the L2s really don't work if you care for global price discovery. And I think if you really do DeFi professionally, you do care about it. So yeah, and then there's a lot being talked about sharding, right? So shard the whole blockchain into several individual shards, right? But that hasn't been put into practice now. We've been talking about it at least since 2018 or so, maybe earlier, 17. And it's not implemented in Ethereum yet, right? And it took them a long time even to move from proof of work to proof of stake and all these type of things. And sharding is also a type of siloing, and it is also a big, big pain in the butt. So anyway, we want an L1, one global state machine that knows everything, and we want it fast, and we want it to scale by the number of transactions. And that's what Solana can do. And that's why I love Solana. And that's why we picked Solana as the base for our Xandium chain, right? What we're doing in Xandium is we're adding a storage layer that is scalable also. And it's a storage layer. So that means we're enabling storage in the smart contracts. It's not like, there's a different storage chain and we connect them somehow or so. We enable the developer that builds apps on top of Xandium, and we call these set apps. It's the storage-enabled decentralized apps, right? They're storage-enabled. And all Web 2 apps are storage-enabled, right? If we write any Web 2 app, right, you see that in Web 2 app is just what's called web development, right? We have front-end developers and back-end developers, and the back-end developers are usually database guys, because each and every Web 2 app has a database that's just connected to the server, and you can just, read and write data and update it and have random access to data. And that's just not possible in the blockchain so far. And we feel that needs to be changed in order to make Web3 a reality. That's why I'm so excited to be working on this. And, Xandium is going to take the TPS scaling capability from Solana, because we build on Solana technology. We actually forked the Solana repository to have a starting point for our development, and then add that storage layer with and the storage layer can be scalable in Xandium as opposed to Ethereum or Solana itself or so, because we add a separate storage blockchain, right? That does not store all data on all validators. It just stores it on a configurable number of storage providers that are different from the core chain's validators. And that way, the storage can be way, way cheaper, way, way more economical, and way, way more scalable. But it is super simple to use in the smart contract because we use the move language. The move language already has its own primitives to access the blockchain storage, right? So we'll just create a second one to access the Solana account system, which is super fast, but limited in size. You can only store a couple of kilobytes there, but as soon as you're gigabytes or terabytes or more, it costs you millions or billions of dollars, right? So we're changing that by adding that storage layer to the Solana chain, and super excited about it. And we feel scalability and TPS is one of the most important factors in a public blockchain. Of course, it also needs to be decentralized. If you look at chains like, for example, BSC, for my taste, too centralized, right? And I feel Solana is actually very, very decentralized. I know there's lots of things going on there in the press and on Twitter sphere, anything that say Solana is centralized. It's not. It's one of the most decentralized chains that are out there. And it is scalable, right? So it is both decentralized, scalable, and it has a few advantages. A few disadvantages. We all know that, right? Solana had a few what's called outages. Other chains don't seem to be, having that issue, but they are working on it. It's been a long time since there was an outage. I think it's a solvable problem. And compared to, having to wait sometimes for hours or days, as I had on Ethereum, right? I was making a bid for the transaction fee, and I thought like, okay, $120 for a transaction fee to just, put something into Lido or stuff like that should be enough. But it took days until someone was willing to process my transaction for $120, right? So given these things, I think the occasional outages in Solana, they are solvable. They are, a problem, the same category as we see it in other chains, but they are solvable, and they're being solved as we speak. But scalability, if a chain isn't scalable and has low TPS, low max TPS, that's possible with that chain, it's not going to take over the world. It's as simple as that, because it just doesn't scale, right? So that's what I think about all this. Again, if you like videos like these, please give me that like button. I really appreciate it. Please also subscribe. There's lots of news to learn here about, general blockchain news that I'm sometimes commenting. I'm also giving updates on the development of our own Xandium chain. I'm posting 3 times a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays. So yeah, make sure to hit the bell notification as well. And thanks for watching.